taking time out of your day to attend this very important meeting. This is the Erin Long-Term Recovery Committee. Our purpose here is to, as all of you know, we had a flood recently that caused substantial damage to the community. We are looking at plans and projects that will help prevent some of this damage from happening and promote business to our community. So we're really looking forward and working towards great things here.
And I'm John Boyle. I'm with FEMA's Long-Term Community Recovery Program. And one of the things I want to do is kind of give you and the community members that view this kind of an overview of what the state of Tennessee and FEMA have been doing in terms of long-term community recovery here. Our program is basically designed to try and bring a community together, identify ideas that fill the gaps of issues and problems that have occurred since the disaster that may not be covered elsewise, and then identify and develop the projects, and the diagrams behind us sort of display that. So today we're going to run through those projects. We're going to start with an overview of the vision statement. We're going to talk a little bit about technology and communications, green infrastructure, business revitalization, and then seek out community input. So one of the first things we want to cover is the community panel's vision statement. So the community panel developed this vision statement as an effort internally that now needs to be sort of developed as a document for the entire community.
The vision statement for the city of Erin is a place where small town atmosphere is valued, history is protected, creativity encouraged, and natural beauty protected, while growing responsibly and moving toward a stronger tomorrow.
And the development of this vision statement came out of a discussion with the community panel as a group. And the ideas and issues and concerns that were raised, what our team of planners did was help draft this document together. And that's exactly what it is right now. This is a draft vision statement. Hopefully it's something that the City Council will be able to adopt after it gets some community input from this process. So with that, what we want to do is talk a little bit about the technology and communications project. So, Myra.
I'm Myra Sherd. I'm also with FEMA's Long-Term Community Recovery. And when we talk about each of these projects today, we're going to talk a little bit about what we have identified as, the panel has identified as some of the challenges, and then we're hoping that some of these projects will be the solutions to those problems. As we try to see these projects, look at them as integrated efforts, the technology and communication piece is really trying to drive the opportunity to bring in traffic and bring in visitors and tourists into the Erin area. It's also trying to help existing businesses as well. So one of the things that we talk about in terms of helping existing businesses, we've talked about having some technology to support them. So if you'll help us out with how you all have worked with that.
And I'm Betsy Ligon with the City Council. What the council, this panel has talked about is several ways of communicating both vision statement over here, things that reflect off our vision statement. These are the areas that are important to us: the history, our creativity, and our small town atmosphere. So we've talked about the council, number one, adopting a version of this vision statement, and then guide our projects from there. We have been looking at the idea that Erin does not have a Facebook page. Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, all those areas are things we need to communicate to the outside world who don't know about us yet. And so that is going to be worked on. We have also talked about that we need to brand our own branding. And again, this goes back to the vision statement. Our branding and what people think of us are keyed off of the vision statement with history and creativity, our arts council, all the talented people we have here. And we need to take advantage of our history with the meteor crater, and because we're a small town, we also are in a position to view stars, and it's been particularly brought up that the Leonid meteor shower occurs in August, and it can be seen from our area more clearly than most other areas because we don't have streetlights. In fact, Austin P has an observatory, and some property for an observatory. So we're looking to even the idea of a meteorite type festival in the fall. And we're looking to partner with groups, organizations where, we haven't contacted anybody yet. So anybody that's interested, we'd like to pursue that possibility as a second festival. And it would be bringing in people from all over. There is a meteorite festival in Haviland, Kansas. And so we have something to go by of what they're doing. This would draw tons of people in here to, it may not be the first, right at first since we get it well known, but we have the meteor, which is the meteor site, the crater site, which we have not ever really taken advantage of the location. But so these are areas that's a festival that could bring a lot of business into town, and those people would be spending money. So it's very early in the development of the ideas. So we're looking for groups to partner with people to do this as a second festival. So that's pretty much it. We've got to use the internet to do our marketing.
Excellent ideas. These are really good. So we've kind of given you the technology and communication, talking about using technology to market the idea, talking about attracting people using those assets that you already have as a community, bringing in the tourists. And so now we're going to kind of move from the technology and communication project, and Linda is going to talk to us a little bit about the green infrastructure. Several of the projects you'll see, as I said, they are intertwined, and they somewhat piggyback off of projects that obviously you already have started. So Linda, if you could talk a little bit, the two of you.
John's going to start.
Okay.
Started first. And again, referring back to the vision is the fact that Erin is a place where small town atmosphere, but most importantly, growing responsibly and moving forward to a stronger tomorrow. So one of the things that has happened in the past is that stormwater is controlled in a variety of different ways, but generally put in pipe and try to get back into the creek as quickly as possible. So one of the things we're trying to do is, as a community panel, looking at actions to do alternatives to the typical stormwater management program. That would include developing infiltration ponds, small wetland areas, and opening green space that can actually collect water within the community, slow the flow down, and control the heavy rains that come through here, because there's not a lot of place for water to go, so we already recognize that. There's also methods that we're considering where individual properties might take more responsibility in terms of using rain barrels and cisterns to collect the water off the downspouts and keep it there and then use it for watering their gardens during the dry season. So there's a series of ideas that are being developed that employ landscaping and alternative methods to piping water away to try and managing that water a little better. And part of that is getting property together and using that property in a different manner.
Yes, the City of Erin is, right now we are talking with 9 individuals and businesses that are interested in the buyout program. We have properties back here behind City Hall along the creek. There are 6 properties out there. We have 2 properties on Highway 13 South, and we have 1 on Elm Street. Those, we have had about 4 or 5 meetings with these individuals. They have been here. We have had a team of representatives here talking with them, and I think we're going to have some good applications that we're going to file very soon. And if anybody has any questions about that, I would be happy to try to answer them.
What plans do you have once this property is acquisitioned, what are the plans for those properties?
Well, those properties they will be deeded to the city. The city can only use those properties as a green space, or you can erect a pavilion there. The mayor has some ideas, and the old co-op building, that would be one of them that the mayor's interested in. Perhaps we will have a pavilion there, somehow utilizing the building. We have to have a little more work to decide exactly how we're going to do that, but it will be developed into green space. And back here, as everyone knows, is next to the park, so that will not be difficult to develop that further on down, and you can walk down at the creek and go fishing, or...
We can also expand the Irish celebration space.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. So that's what we're working on.
So the additional green space and the additional capacity that you develop for managing water is a huge asset toward the future of the community and the future development of the community. And as we talk about the business districts and the business district development, there may be other opportunities to seek out property and change some of the existing patterns that you have to try and reduce the amount of flooding that occurs in the future. So that's some of the things that we'll start talking about in terms of business and business revitalization as a part of this project.
Okay. And thank you for starting to talk about the business district piece, because I don't know if everybody's familiar, but this panel has talked about it, that there are 3 phases of beautification that are actually going on in the business district, or downtown, whichever people refer to it. And Lori, I'd like for you to come up and kind of talk about what it is that has already taken place and some of the vision that was here prior to the flood.
Sure. When we first began, 2002, we began applications with TDOT, Rural Development, to improve the downtown area, business area, to encourage more business into the downtown area, make it more pedestrian friendly, and just improve the overall downtown appearance of the area. When we did our first phase, if you notice, can you all see this map? The first phase, which is probably most obvious, is the replica of the original courthouse. We built a stage with that, which if you come through at night is quite beautifully lit with a Christmas tree. We've had many functions on that stage since it was built, which far succeed any imagination that I had that we would use it for. We've had church services, we've had music productions, we've had pep rallies, veterans,
World War II veterans honor.
World War II, honoring the World War II veterans. It's just incredible, the things that we've done out there. Along with the stage and the obvious set, the replica of the courthouse, we have done some landscaping. We have put in sidewalks. We've put, which a lot of people don't realize, down here is a speed bump that looks like some really nice cobblestone. But we've tried to make it to where our traffic through the square slows down at the entrances. We put a little speed bump here to slow traffic down and to make it more pedestrian friendly. We've redone a lot of the sidewalks. Over here we've improved drainage, which I believe saved a lot of our businesses during the May flood. We have done some landscaping, put in some trees, did some work there. The next phase, we also, across the street from the courthouse, we put in some parking and also some lighting. The next phase, we will be doing more lighting. We will be doing sidewalks. You can see here down the side roads there. Spring Street, up here by the Farm Bureau, if I'm not backwards. And then we'll finish the sidewalks throughout the square. This is all this orange stuff here is sidewalking. Down here at the end of Court Street, which would be across from the park, They spoke a little bit about adding some basins, catch basins, cisterns. We'll be putting a sort of a catch basin down here to catch water, the stormwater runoff. It'll be filtered before it goes into the creek, hopefully, you know, taking out some of that grease, oil, tar that comes from the drainage before it goes back into the creek, cleaning that up a little bit also. So we'll have an entrance here, we'll have the catch basin, we'll have more sidewalks, we're going to try and put in a little more green space and add more lighting, and of course, most important to a lot of people are the sidewalks. So we'll get that going, and that'll be our next phase. Hopefully we'll start here in a couple of years.
You want to tell them about the stone that we received from Ireland, our friends?
Oh, sure. We have, in the corner of the replica, we have first a limestone block that has the year that the cornerstone. It has 2002, which is the year that the project began.
I think it's 1906 to
To
2000.
2000. Was it 2006? I thought.
Well, no, that was when we had
When it was incorporated. 1906 when the city was incorporated, or when the city became a city, and 2006 when the project got underway. There's also, on the Main Street side, there's a little plaque in there with a stone that...
And taking into consideration the uniqueness of the different areas of the business district. And as you can see from these posters, we've kind of broken it down from the western part of the business district, the Court Square part, and the eastern business districts. And part of the project, as we've talked about it, is bringing community merchants in and talking about the issues, challenges of these specific districts, and trying to work toward assisting those merchants in strengthening their businesses in those different areas. In addition to this revitalization that was already going on, where the city has committed to beautifying downtown Erin, we've talked about, in terms of some of these posters, some of the things that merchants might do to beautify their individual shops. And so that there may be some consistency with seating, there may be additions of green space, which goes back to the green infrastructure piece, maybe even breaking up some of the brick color and putting in more murals. You were very successful in the quilts that have been put throughout the city. So we're looking at options for merchants to do those same types of things. And again, the community panel, other community groups acting in advisory ways for those particular merchants. Am I on point with that panel? Okay, all right. And we talked about signage. You can come on in here, John. Some of these ideas about creating gathering places downtown so that more people can come into downtown and feel comfortable. One of the things that Lori said, you know, beautifying the city, we started having more things going on, and Linda was pointing that out too. It is a much more aesthetically pleasing place, but there are also other things that the panel has talked about in terms of the long term that can be done as well so that people can come into the downtown. In this revitalization project, we're talking about generating jobs, supporting the independent businesses. We're talking about having a group that will really be focused on attracting new businesses to the business district of Erin. And this thing about bolstering the community sense of place, I think Betsy pointed at it very, very well in the very beginning. She says we have to brand Erin. And that's one of the things about branding Erin, is to give it its sense of place and capitalizing on some of the unique parts. You talked about the history, all of these historic landmarks. We talked about putting signs out so that people come through, they know all of these, the history behind quite a few of these landmarks. And we talked about adding more projects, and this is Historical Society, tell me if I'm on point with that, adding some more of these properties to the National Register. So, and I know that you're already doing some community education with your youth about the history around as well.
Youth leadership, yes, we are.
Okay, all right. John, you want to talk about some of that?
Yeah, and actually, one of the things that we recognized when we came to town and started working with you guys is that you have Court Square, which is sort of heart and soul, that's where the city started, but you also have the west and east side of this district. And so really looking at this in terms of developing small business opportunities for the entire business district. So we looked at it in three components. So looking at the West Business District, we sort of have coined the name the Quarry. I'm not sure if there is an actual name for this particular area of the city. Is there, in terms of the business district?
Arlington.
Arlington? Okay. So Arlington might be the better name. It's a historically correct name.
It's an old community that at one
Okay.
time it was called Arlington, and we
Okay.
were Erin.
Oh, okay, okay. So that's an important thing. So we'll make that change, but one of the reasons we picked the Quarry was because the fact that the Quarry is sort of the focal point of that entire area, along with the lime kilns that exist. So what we recommend would be that you start capitalizing on those kind of things that are sort of in the public sector, the lake and the lime kilns, the walking trail, and make connections to that. You have the school, the walking trail, create connections between the lime kilns and the lake and the other lime kiln, all as ways of tying that place together and beginning to give it stronger character, but also looking at areas where we can prevent flooding and maybe make some adjustments in where things are built within this Arlington business district so that you capture water, slow the flow down, and keep people's feet dry and keep them in business year in, year out, and that's an important part. On the east side, East Business District, we sort of see that as a crossroads area and also a very important gateway area into the community where Highway 13 and Highway 49 come together. And so this would be another area to look at very carefully in terms of how can that be developed? How can that be actually maybe even intensified in the types of development that occur there? And there might be some smaller businesses back here across from the school that flooded just down from where the co-op is. So the co-op's up nice and well elevated now, and they seem to be pretty safe and secure from flooding, but the rest of those businesses are still all pretty low. So maybe that's an opportunity to encourage some businesses to come up into the crossroads area and find a way to better manage water that'll help protect the school in the future. So there's ideas like that that we're coming up with that need to be further discussed and developed within the community. And I think one of the things that we're suggesting is a kind of a master plan approach for each of these areas, kind of looking at the unique characteristics within each area and some of the key components of them and building on them and encouraging more small businesses in safer locations that won't flood, and also find areas that you can allow the water to go into and protect those areas. In other areas, again, the walking trail is the mainstay that connects your whole town together. So that's another, and it ties in with the Tennessee Trail concept that's coming through. So it's another opportunity to build tourism and attract people into each of these business district areas. So that's where we're at.
That's it. And just to kind of do a recap, this group has been meeting since the very beginning of November, once a week, an hour to 2 hours, and we've diligently, as a group, drafted a wonderful vision statement, and it's wonderful simply because I come here, I'm shopping here now, and I see Erin as this place. So I understand that. So now as the outsider insider, I understand that piece. The technology communication piece, we've talked about that and how we're going to try to pull all these pieces together, the green infrastructure, the business district revitalization, and again, capitalizing on plans that were already in existence, the beautification process for downtown, the buyouts, the green spaces that you were already entertaining. So this is how the community panel has come together and come up with these particular projects. We appreciate all the hard work. So one of the things that before we end this, we'd like all the community panel people to come up so that we can make sure we give a big round of applause for all of our community panels. We know they're all not here at several other events today, but if we could get all of our Erin long-term community recovery panel up here. worked and done our part. Lori, what is it you think the next step should be?
Well, the next step, I think, should be more community input. I would, and everyone, this is a small portion of our community, and, you know, we try to get business people, we try to get historians, our city heads, and, but this is just a small portion of the mass. And we really would like more community input and more help, more suggestions on how to make our area a better place to live, a better place to shop, a better place to visit.
And if you'd like to send comments, if you don't have email, 931-289-4108, and that's just some response and suggestions. If you would like to email, it would be erin.recoveryplan@gmail.com. And these numbers should be up for you for a little while so you can take a look at it, and please make sure that you give us a call. Our long-term community recovery panel, Erin style.